morning, Hornets, and welcome back to today's edition of Beech Grove Student News. I'm Melissa Harrell.
And I'm Anna Marie Passianos. Today we'll be taking a look at polar plunge and how you get through the third quarter. Let's toss it over to Jordan for weather.
Good morning, Hornets, and welcome back for your weekly weather news. Today we'll have a high of 54 and a low of 37 with a 0% chance of rain. Wednesday we'll have a high of 52 and a low of 30 with a 10% chance of rain. And Thursday we'll have a high of 56 and a low of 34 with a 10% chance of rain. For the fun fact of the day, shrimp fried rice isn't really fried by shrimp. That's all for your weekly weather. Back to you ladies at the desk.
Getting through the third quarter can be very difficult. I got more on what students do to make sure they keep on track.
Quarter 3 has always been known to be a harder quarter compared to the others. It can be very hard to keep up with your work and stay motivated. I talked with Kristen Lamb to see what she has done to make sure she doesn't get behind and lose motivation during this time of the school year.
So the third quarter is probably one of the hardest quarters just because it goes on for so long and we never have a break. But the way I got through this quarter was, first of all, getting sleep at night because that's very important to me, or else I'll fall asleep in class. And I also worked hard to stay on top of my assignments and not procrastinate. And also I tried to study more than I did other quarters, and I think that helped me achieve more this quarter.
I then spoke with Alyssa Harrell to get some more strategies on how to stay on track.
So I hate the third quarter because it's so hard to keep motivation and it's like so cold outside and it's not fun. But I'm a junior right now, so I know this is when colleges are like really looking at me. So that's how I've tried to like keep myself to like keep doing my work because I want to get into a good college. So I'm trying to keep my grades up, and spring break soon. The quarter ends Friday, and then we'll have 2 weeks. So that's what's keeping me going right now.
Although you may be struggling to keep motivated, spring break is almost here. Be sure to keep working hard through these last few weeks. Thank you. This has been Anna Marie Passianos from Bgsn.
Beech Grove is participating in the polar plunge on Friday, March 6th. If you are interested in participating, $75 is due tomorrow, Wednesday, March 4th. Beech Grove High School has raised over $2,153 in total so far for the Special Olympics. For students that are participating, remember to bring an extra set of clothes, a bag for your wet ones, and of course, dress up and have fun, Hornets.
As you know, quarter 3 is quickly coming to an end. Molly went out and got more on ways to raise your grades and prepare yourself for the next quarter.
As you know, the end of the quarter is this week. Here are a few ways that you can try to bring your grade up and study for the next quarter. There are tons of ways for students to bring their grade up before the end of the quarter, whether that's doing extra credit or turning in some of your missing work. Carissa Nielsen-Baker gave information on how you can bring your grade up.
I think for the end of the quarter, you should make sure you have all your grades up, and if you have any missing work, you need to make that up, obviously. And make sure to talk to your teacher, because if you may think you got a bad grade on something, but it could be a mistake on their part, or it could be a mistake on yours, and you could always better yourself for it. So I think grades are an important thing to have, and also have plans and stuff to do, because no one wants to end the quarter and be bored the whole break time. So make sure you plan things in advance.
For those of you who don't believe that you could get your grade up by the end of this week, here is Mo Anderson with some ways that you can try to study and bring your grade up for the next quarter.
I think a really good way to bring your grades up is having a study schedule. So you kind of separate all your classes and do them a certain order every night, have a certain amount of time for each class.
That's all for me, Hornets. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Back to you guys at the desk.
Hornets, we currently only have 28 yearbooks left for sale. If you are interested in buying one before they are sold out, they are $45. You can turn your money into Mr. White or a yearbook staff member in the TV studio. Yearbooks are also sold on yearbookordercenter.com using school code 8750.
Here's an update on the coronavirus situation. PU went out and got more.
Well, first off, ladies and gents, we can start off by getting to know what is the risk and how many cases there have been in the U.S. Well, there are 15 states treating coronavirus patients, and as of the date on Monday, which would be yesterday or the 2nd of March, the death toll rises to 6 in the United States. But do not panic, as the UN, aka United Nations, has released $15 billion for COVID-19 response, aka the coronavirus we all know.
Even though the coronavirus is an airborne virus, which means once you are within a 6 to 12 mile radius you are catching it. WHO, aka World Health Organization, tells us that there are some things we can do to avoid the spread of the virus or generally getting sick. This method is washing your hands, after coughing or sneezing, when caring for the sick, before, during and after you prepare food, before eating, after toilet use, when hands are visibly dirty, and after handling animals or animal waste. These will help out a little until the vaccines are fully tested and out there for the people, in which there are at least 19 to 20 vaccines in testing as we speak. I asked a few of our students about their opinion. Here is what they had to say.
I feel like in, obviously, China, it should have been quarantined a lot better and a lot differently than normal countries, because, like, obviously they didn't do a good job of it due to the reason that it spread to the United States. And there's 15, like, states that got the coronavirus in the United States, so I feel like that was a bad job on their part, and 6 deaths already, and one of the states are including Indiana, so I feel like they should have did a better job and stood on top of their game and shouldn't have spread
China
this far.
would let like other people with the coronavirus leave their country in the first place. So
now back to you guys at the desk.
Last year was an interesting year for video games. Eleanor Mathis got more on this subject.
Last year was an interesting time for video games. We had some big titles like Sekiro, Fire Emblem, Gears of War, and Pokemon. But this also came with some big controversies, including the Blizzard and Hong Kong debacle, Reggie Fils-Aimé retiring from Nintendo of America, and Activision and Bungie splitting ways. But of course, with the new video games comes the Game of the Year. We all know that people have different games that they love. So I asked some students about their Game of the Year.
Last year, my favorite game was probably Pokemon Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby. I just love the Pokemon franchise. I grew up watching the Pokemon shows, grew up watching Pokemon Indigo League. So I've been a loyal fan, playing all the games that come out on DS and the recent one, Sword and Shield, that just came out for Nintendo Switch. The reasons why I like it, I like the cool battling system, I like the story behind it. I always will love how the Pokemon are well designed and how every region is created specifically for their Pokemon and for the trainers in them.
Well, that's all for me. I'm Eleanor Mathis. Back to you guys at the desk.
Now let's toss it over to Jacob Skinner for sports.
good morning, Hornets, and welcome back to sports. In Beech Grove news, boys basketball's first sectional game will be March 6th at Indian Creek High School. The game will start at 7:30. Be there to support your defending sectional champs and 15-7 Hornets. See you there, Hornets. Important week for the boys basketball team. DQ went out and got more.
Good morning, Hornets. This past Friday, the boys basketball team had a game against Whiteland, but had a tough loss. Here's what Josh Fryer had to say about that.
Yeah, so obviously it was a tough loss for us against Whiteland, but I think it really brought us together as a team. We obviously have sectionals this coming week, but I feel like really it just brought us together.
This week starts sectionals for the boys basketball team. I got with Josh to see what he thinks about this year's sectionals.
So for the first round, it will be Ritter versus Speedway on the top of the bracket, and the bottom of the bracket, it will be Indian Creek versus Heron. And the first two buys is us, Beech Grove, which would be on the top of the bracket. So we're facing the winner of Speedway and Ritter. And on the bottom side, it will be Washington versus the winner of Indian Creek and Heron. And I think these teams are really match up well. I think we have a pretty good shot of winning sectionals, and I just hope we just play together. And Indian Creek looks like the biggest matchup for us too.
Boys will play this Friday against Speedway or Ritter. Be sure to come out Friday and support your Hornets in sectional.
Thanks, Jacob. That's all for today's segment of Bgsn 10. I'm Melissa Harrell.
And I'm Anne Marie Pasianos. Have a root beer Tuesday, Hornet.